Alright, you've seen the title, my friend. This time, I'm not here to give you some top 10 ways to instantly improve your confidence, right? Because when you think about it, you keep coming back to these videos for a reason. It's really not about the knowledge that you get because you keep clicking on the same videos anyways. It's more about how the knowledge is presented to you and whether if it actually gets you to keep going or not. That's why I'm gonna give you 3 confidence tips that you already know that I'm gonna repeat to you anyways because you still need them. This is the best part, right? But let's get to the first tip, right? And the first tip, we're gonna be talking about eye contact, boy. Let's get it. So a couple of days ago, I was sitting in class and instead of the math lesson we were supposed to have, we were meant to go on this lecture, right? Now this lecture was about like first impressions, CVs, job interviews. It was kind of boring, right? Not gonna lie. Didn't really get that much value out of it. But we were asked this one question that truly stayed with me. You know, this question really made me think, right? That's why I'm going to share it with you so that you can kind of observe the way you think, right? Essentially, in a 10-minute conversation, how much time should we actually spend looking at the person? And how much time should we look away so that we're not awkwardly staring into their eyes, right? Because that can make things a little bit scary. When we were asked this question, surprisingly enough, the answers were very similar. I said around 8 minutes, some other guy said 7, somebody said 9, which is crazy, but the answer was roughly the same. Everybody said around 7 to 8 minutes. But what's mind-blowing to me is that if you know anything about the way conversations look nowadays, especially for teenagers, you would know that this is far from reality. If I had to make a statement, I would assume that the way conversations actually look, I think maybe 50%. So like 5 minutes, we're actually looking at each other. It could be even less, honestly. Because nowadays, we're so much more insecure than we used to. Like we spend so much time on social media. It's crazy when you think about it, how the most social thing people do nowadays is social media. The act of sitting by their own in their room, sitting on their phone, it's mind-blowing. And when those same people actually go outside into the world and try to socialize, they can't even look into the person that's in front of them. That's what's so mind-blowing to me, right? And I used to struggle with this too, right? I remember at one point, not even a far back, honestly, I remember when I started this very channel, I used to be scared to, perhaps not scared, right? But I used to struggle with holding eye contact with the damn camera, right? So you know how when you record in selfie mode, you can see yourself as recording. I wasn't looking into the screen, no, I was looking into the damn reflection of myself, right? I couldn't even focus on the camera. Imagine if as I'm speaking to you, I'm just looking there, trying to see what's in the freaking window, trying to see what my cat's doing. You wouldn't even feel like I'm talking to you. Whilst when I'm actually looking at you, the information feels way more direct. It actually feels like I'm speaking to you, right? And this is what I want you to take care of. If you could improve your eye contact just a bit so slightly, right? You don't have to stare the person into the soul, but just make sure your eyes aren't rolling 24/7, right? And that you're actually looking at who you're talking to. Because you would be surprised at how many people not notice that. All right, number 2. This one's gonna be so basic that you think I'm stupid for it, right? This is even more basic than eye contact, but as I said, you need this stuff if you clicked on this video. Therefore, tip number 2, smile more. This is as simple as it gets. I'm from Poland. Poland is a country that is known for their negative approach towards other people. I really like this example, right? Because I've already traveled a little bit around Europe and I've been to the more westernized countries, right? So I've been to Sweden, I've been to the Netherlands, I've been to Spain. And one thing that I often notice in all of these countries is that when you walk into a store and you say, hello, good morning, people are so happy to see you. As a person from Poland, this feels almost unnatural, right? Like I remember when I walk into a store in Sweden in the middle of Gothenburg or like Stockholm, when it's like everybody's so uncomfortably nice. It feels weird when you walk into a store and somebody's like, hi. It's like that kind of makes you want to speak to that person more. But in Poland, in Slovakia, in the Czech, in the Russians, in the Slavics. I can't explain it, right? But when you walk into a store there, like, you're lucky if a person actually says good morning back to you to begin with, let alone looking at you, right? I don't know why, but we're just so cold in Poland, right? I don't know if it's the same for Russia because I've never been there, but safe to assume because we have a similar culture, right? It's the same thing for like the Czech and the Slovakians, right? Just making an observation here. That's why when I speak to people, barely anybody believes me when I tell them I'm from Poland, right? All the guys who I spoke to online who've been to Poland before, they would have never even guessed that I'm from Poland. I don't even sound like a Polish person, right? Like, oczywiście, że jestem z Polski, ale jakby... it's insane. That's all my speaking skills, right? Because I'm able to hide my accent. But the thing that makes me stand out is that I'm a smiley person. I can't explain it. Whilst all the other guys are just like cold, I was never afraid to be like the motherfucker with the biggest giggle in the room, right? This was just something that I've adapted. And you would be surprised at how polarizing this trait is. Honestly, the number one attractive trait in a guy is it's confidence. It's confidence, right? And when you are able to act the way you are, just by nature, and you're unrestricted, people notice that. And when I'm talking about attraction, I'm not talking about just girls. I'm talking about your magnetism, your charisma, the ability to connect people into you, make them want to stay around you. And positive setting is one of the number one things you have to know if you want to be more charismatic. Therefore, smiling is one of the most important tips, right? Because if I walked up to you with this negative expression, right? Let's say it's like, I don't even know who I'm trying to imitate, right? I walk in with this awkward expression and I say, hi, how are you doing? It's like, it's cool, but there isn't really anything else to it, right? But when you walk in and it's like, hi, how are you? Once you show signs of interest, once you show to the other person that you're actually engaged in what's going on and that you genuinely want to talk to them, this makes all the difference, my friend. So keep this in mind. Those are very basic tips, but the logic behind them can go really deep, right? You could make a whole iceberg out of these. But the last tip that I wanted to share today, this one might be a little bit more complex, but it might be a little bit hard to implement. But I believe this is the most valuable one I'm going to give you today. So the last tip for today, tip number 3, turn your ego off. The reason as to why I want you to do this is when we hold conversations, a lot of people, we just love to talk about ourselves. Genuinely, we love doing this stuff. I believe this is a normal thing because at the end of the day, we are self-serving creatures, right? And when we're in a, let's say, dangerous situation, for example, airplanes, right? You're always taught to save yourself first, then you're able to help others, right? This is just the way we are. At the end of the day, we are self-serving creatures, whether if you like it or not. And my bad. And the issue is that everybody thinks like this. We all love to talk about ourselves. That's why when you often observe others' conversations, what you will quickly realize is they're not really conversations when you think about it. It's more of a simple exchange of sentences. Nobody's really listening to each other. It's just that as soon as one person is done with talking about his thing, the other person's not going to say anything related to that topic, and he is just waiting for the right moment to say his own thing, to bump in whatever he wanted to talk about. And the funniest part is that the first guy, he's gonna do the exact same thing. He's gonna bounce the ball back to him, and it's like they're playing fucking tennis. They're bouncing the ball back and forth instead of actually listening to each other. Next time you're in a conversation, once you will turn off this video, you'll go off with your date, go do something else. Try and actually listen more and direct the conversation onto the other person. See how literally magic starts to unfold in front of you. People love to talk about themselves. And when you are able to literally benefit on that, you'll, I don't know what I wanted to say. You'll quickly find out that holding conversations is much easier than you think. As long as you get the other person to start yapping about whatever they want to talk about, it's like you can just sit there and ask them more and more questions about what they're talking about, allowing them to open up even further, giving them more space to be the way that they want to be. And once people get to be their authentic selves around you, oh boy, you have won the interaction. People are going to come back to you on their own as long as they feel comfortable around their presence, around your presence, right? But yeah, those are the 3 tips. Hope they actually helped you out. Those are probably the most known tips out there, right? But at the end of the day, you keep clicking on these videos for a reason. Therefore, giving up. I'm sick of trying to come up with something that you've never heard of before, right? Because I always do at the end of the day. I'm a very creative guy. But we have to pay some attention to the fundamentals at the end of the day. So yeah, that would be it for me. I'm going to show you how my cat's doing, as we always do. I think it's been a solid few videos since I've done that. Sheesh, this video is 12 minutes long. Please tell me you heard that on camera. You want to meow again? Oh, all right, I'm gonna leave you alone. But yeah, comment the word cat if you made it to this point of the video. If not, you can click all the videos if you want to. You can subscribe any day of the week. I would really appreciate that. Plus, you should join my Discord server because you'll have a blast. Trust me, man. Yeah, keep working, brother, and I'll see you soon.